going into the game, I think that I'm going to get more double teamed than I did last week, just because they don't have a lot more on their team, So just going into the game, just knowing that I'm going to be moving around a little bit more, motioning around, just trying to get into some open space.
Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. My name is Dan Barreiro, joined as always by Justin Gaard and Lori Fisher, surprisingly and perhaps even shockingly, not wearing purple today, despite the Vikings' big overseas victory.
I was thinking about doing Purple Monday for their victory on Sunday.
Well, we're not here on Mondays.
Doesn't really do us
much as we'd like to be, we're not here on Mondays.
Well, Justin Jefferson is ready for Sunday. The Vikings are 3-1. And once again, their last win last Sunday came down to the final 2 minutes against the Saints in London. Lewisine was seriously injured, but luckily is on track to come back next season. Up next, the struggling Chicago Bears. They are 2-2. Dan.
They're, it's a deceptive 2-2. They're an 0-4 team with a 2-2 record, in part because they won, they beat the 49ers, which is hard to believe, but it was in the monsoon of Chicago. Trey Lance was the quarterback then that the 49ers had turned the team over to. And so they somehow came back and won that game in the second half. And then they beat the Houston Texans, who I think the Gophers could beat. Well, at least I did think they could beat them before the loss to Purdue. We'll get to that later.
Block too.
Look, the cliche is that you are what your record is. I don't believe that's true with the Bears because I think they're a bad 2-2. I'm not convinced that's what the Vikings are either. They're 3-1, but they still feel like, okay, cute little club, have found a way to win games, but no, I don't like the way they had to basically rely on a double doink in London in a game where the other team is missing its top player at a number of key positions, including the quarterback spot. So call me a cynic, call me a skeptic. I'm just not there yet, especially because we got two of the best calls, without two of the best calls in our favor in recent memory, officiating calls on the game, one of the big touchdown drives, pass interference, and the earlier penalty, which was even more egregiously wrong. I'm not even sure we're sitting here talking about 3-1. I think we could be talking about 2-2.
You can be the cynic. I will be the hopeless romantic. If I had purple and I was allowed to wear it on this show, which I'm not because Lori said I can't, I would be wearing it. Yes, it does wash me out. I'm looking around. We've talked about it on the radio. Everybody's basically 500 in the NFL right now. Tom Brady said it this past week. We're going to get to him in lightning round, kind of for off-the-field stuff. A lot of bad football being played. We saw it on Thursday night. Atrocious football being played, where Al Michaels is basically mocking the fact that he even has to be there for Amazon Prime. Kirk Herbstreit doesn't know what city he's in. He thinks this is the greatest league in the world. There's bad football everywhere. I take all the wins I can possibly get. The Vikings have not played great. You're 100% right. Cousins has not played well. The defense has been spotty. They haven't been able to get Dalvin Cook involved at all. Is this the week that it changes? I think it could be for Dalvin because the Bears are not very good against the run, from what I can tell. So I'm going to be the hopeless romantic and the optimist to your cynic. I'm going to take the 3-1 record and say you have the right to get better. Now that could change in 2 weeks if they lose to Chicago and lose to Miami and they're 3-3. Then maybe all bets are off. But I'm going to be glass half full on the Vikings 3-1 because everywhere else in the NFL besides Philly, nobody's any good right now.
Yeah, I would maintain because of equity. I'd put the Rams ahead of us. I'd put the Niners ahead of us. I'd even put the Packers. I know we killed them the first week, but I'd still put the Packers.
So that's 4 or 5 teams.
We're in the in the NFC alone. I mean, I'm just saying, you want me to be convinced that this is the age of Aquarius and everything's changed now. Then play like it. And the assumptions being made that we're winning games that we used to lose. Zimmer won some of these games. He lost some of these games as well. I just haven't seen this epiphany yet. And look, they're not going to have to play great to beat the Bears, but why don't you go out and crush a team you're supposed to crush?
You can watch.
That's what they need to do.
You can watch that game here on Fox 9.
Is it on Fox 9?
It is, and then followed by, you mentioned the Rams, followed by Rams-Cowboys.
Well,
doubleheader this Sunday.
Well, the sad thing is, Guardsy mentioned there's a lot of bad football. A lot of this is people are going, wait a minute, you don't like low-scoring games? I'm not convinced, like the game Thursday night indicated great defensive play.
No.
It too many times is just looking like bad offense in a league in which every rule favors the offense as well. That's the problem.
The Twins' season is officially over. They beat the White Sox in their last game. Rising star Luis Arraez became the American League batting champ, so that's cool. But the Twins finished third in the AL Central behind the Sox and the Guardians. What do you think needs to happen before next season, Justin?
They need to go down to Mayo Clinic and talk to every orthopedic surgeon, every sports performance doctor, everybody they know in the sports performance. Well, first of all, they need to get better players, first of all. They spent money. They're right in the middle of the American League or baseball in payroll. I think that's probably where they're going to cap out. But if you're going to play the injury card, which I'm fine with, even though the season was imploding before that, you start adding these up, Dan, and we may have talked about this on this show. They miss more time than anybody else. They're acquiring people that are injured. The injuries they have are often recurring. The timetables we get for their injuries are often very short-sighted, and guys miss way more time. That's a serious problem, on top of the fact that the guys that they have and that have been sitting out aren't that good anyway. So a million things need to happen. Everybody's coming back. Falvey's coming back. Levine's coming back. The Dalai Lama, they're coming back. They're revamping Target Field, which everybody's supposed to be excited about. I'm sure the Sandlot guys will be here next summer on the 30-year anniversary of that film because we love distractions. But, I mean, everything kind of needs to change, starting with the people they are bringing in. No more of these guys that might stay healthy, might give you 5 or 6 innings if it's the pitching rotation. How about some guys that can just stay on the field? Let's start there, and then we can worry about if they're good or not.
Well, the odd contradiction is that there may be no more health-obsessed team.
It's crazy.
In baseball than the Twins are, and their reward for being so obsessed and being so interested in following what medical research indicates about how you prepare players for games and for seasons is, as you mentioned, an injury list that goes on forever. And you hit on, I think, the other key point about this. Teams can be unlucky. Players can be unlucky when it comes to injury. But the fact of the matter is, too often the Twins are projecting to get more health out of players who often have histories of arm problems. This pitching staff is replete with pitchers who fall into that classification. And already we're seeing the trap. We're going, but look at all the pitchers, starters
that are coming
We've got
back.
like 7 starters that we can actually say can compete in a big league rotation. And guess what? 3 or 4 of them, you don't know that you're going to be able to count on them for more than a month or 2 at a time, including Maeda, who is a good pitcher, but is coming off. How long has he been out?
Year and a half, and we thought he was going to be coming back at the end.
August,
maybe they would have if they were in the race still, but even that was a little surprising that they kind of shut him down after ramping him up.
Did you notice also the ball guys? It finally dawned on them. You know what this team needs? Needs a number 1 starter. You can't even make it up.
Okay, we got to move on.
Some of us have been talking about this for decades,
since
basically, and now it's apparently okay to demand that the Twins compete for a number 1 starter.
Okay,
Good luck.
Next up, thank you. Yankees player Aaron Judge set the American League home run record, hitting number 62. Roger Maris previously held the record. And get this, I think, well, obviously you guys know this, but Sports Memorabilia House offered $2 million to the fan who caught Judge's ball. The previous record was $3 million for Mark McGwire's 70th, which doesn't count. Dan.
Yeah, it does or it doesn't, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it.
Somebody thought it did. They paid $3 million for it.
I'm very disappointed in Justin because he's bored. He's been bored with the whole 62 home run chase. I'm not bored with it at all. It's an American League record, regardless of how you feel about what Barry Bonds did or didn't do, Sammy Sosa, McGwire. Beyond that, what I love about Judge is he's an impact player beyond home runs. This is a guy who obviously had a great shot at winning the Triple Crown. This is a classic case of a player who elevated his team. I know it's the Yankees. You say, well, the Yankees got talent everywhere. He's the guy who kept them afloat, even through stretches of the season where they started looking kind of mortal. And he doesn't seem to be much of a self-promoter. He just seems to go out and do his job.
He's a pro.
He's going to probably sign a contract with somebody next year for $500 million. And I don't even know if that makes any sense given it's baseball. But I've enjoyed his run. I think it has been good for for baseball, and I don't think it should be ignored just because it's not as many home runs as Barry Bonds.
Well, and I like him too.
Because I don't think he cheated. I really don't think he cheated.
I'm with you. Well, people that we trust that know him have said it just doesn't seem like he's that type of guy. We'll see. Are we being naive to the whole thing?
Possibly. We've been naive before.
Who knows? But I like the fact you mentioned he goes out and does his job. That means he plays a lot. How many games did he play this year? He's not a guy that took a ton of rest time. He was put me in the lineup and let me play. Now, on the ball, I'd be curious. Go around the room. I want to know Lori's ethics on this. Would you give the ball back if you caught it, number 62? I'd like to think that I would, but, man, $2 million sounds nice. I might even hold out for more. What do you think?
The ball doesn't belong to him, I don't think.
To Aaron Judge or the guy?
It belongs to the guy. I like to think I wouldn't ask for $2 million, but who knows? Who can say?
It's hard to be in that spot.
It's extremely hard. Lori would have definitely asked for like $4 million.
Oh, she'd take
5.
Yeah.
Gophers, Wolves, Wild, and Halloween candy. That's next.
Lori would also ask for an audience with who? Somebody.
We didn't play well enough to win tonight. We didn't deserve to win tonight, and I believe in life you get what you deserve. And we did not deserve to win. When we're not playing complimentary football, that's what it looks like.
Welcome back to Enough Said. The Gophers lost against Purdue last weekend, which also happened to be homecoming. Fans, though, definitely getting an A for their stripe out assignment. And I think that is all because of Justin Gaard.
Oh, there's no question I moved the needle on the stripe out.
You did.
No question.
They did a good job. The team,
what's happened to you.
The team has a bye this weekend. Their next game is October 15th against Illinois. What went wrong last weekend, Dan?
Well, first of all, I feel like a sap. I really do, because I got sucked in by people like Justin Gaard and Lori Fisher and so many others that, you know what, and even Glenn Mason. Perfect storm of a season. The division is down. Gophers look good. They look like an adult, serious football team against Michigan State, who, by the way, might not win another game. We're finding out after the fact. And so I was all in on it. As recently as a week ago, I'm saying, yeah, let's go get this thing. This is great. And you can't buzzkill the vibe, the positive vibe, any more thoroughly than they did. If you scripted it, you couldn't. The way they played in that game, virtually from the opening kickoff.
First play.
And then your guy, PJ, with one of the dumbest coaching decisions I've seen in a long time. The 4th and 1, that was first half, wasn't it?
It was.
Why are you panicking in the first half of a game like, well, we got to show confidence in my team. We got to get a spark going. You're at home against Purdue. Let the game play out. See if you can get back into it. I hated that decision. I did not like the way they played, and now I might be done with your club.
And they did get back into it despite all of that. One possession into the second half, it's tied at 10. Should have been on that play that we just saw,
yes.
the dropped touchdown pass that turned into an interception. Yeah, buzzkill is the word for it. Deflating is a word for it. Very damaging when it comes to the Big Ten West. They had a great opportunity to really take hold of the Big Ten West, given what else has happened around the division.
Including the dismissal of the Wisconsin
That's where
coach.
I was going. Illinois, who the Gophers play, as Lori mentioned, next week. That now becomes the biggest game of the season, quite frankly, especially if Illinois beats Iowa on Saturday night. Now, saving grace for the Gophers, as you mentioned, the division, there's not a lot of greatness. Every team, including Purdue, now has a game where they say, man, if we won that one, we would be in really good shape. So there's more football to be played, but we talked about it a week ago. What a professional effort it was against Michigan State. Whatever the opposite is, that's what the Purdue game was from almost the beginning. Now, I won't put – PJ wanted to talk about complimentary football. I give the defense about 4% responsibility for that loss. They gave up a touchdown early. That happens, right? They bailed out the head coach by just allowing the field goal on the 4th and 1. In between that, defense played great. Defense played well enough to win. Defense, I think, will keep them in this mix for the rest of the season. But the offense took a couple of major steps back. And that was with Mo being out, but I'm not sure how much of a difference he would make up there.
You got the issue now where you have the possibility of a 3-game losing streak because out of a season where you think there's nothing stopping us because you get Penn State after Illinois, which, as you say, makes the Illinois game all the much bigger.
Next week.
The Timberwolves kicked off their preseason this week with wins against the Heat and the Lakers. They played the Clippers on Sunday. Their final and only home game is a week from tonight. Karl Anthony Towns didn't play in either game, but we did get to see newbie to the Wolves, Rudy Gobert. Justin?
And I think he just got another rebound. I think he just got another rebound. LeBron didn't even play last night. And
none of their so-called big three, if you want to include Westbrook in that anymore.
And
none
Patrick Beverley.
And Patrick Beverley
didn't play either. That's the kind of the veteran move that he gets. Yeah, it was nice to see him. Obviously, rebounding is going to be big for Rudy. We'll see when Cat plays. The fact that he spent some time in the hospital, has lost a bunch of weight. I think that's a little concerning here moving forward. I'm ready to get this season going. Listening to the broadcast last night, and I did stay up watching way more of this game than I thought I would.
Why bother? Yeah, was that or the Thursday night monstrosity of a football game?
So I popped in on it, and Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, I think, reminded you why it was important that the Wolves did go get Gobert and why they did try to fortify, because the West is going to be a monster this year. There's 4 teams that are tanking for the other French kid who we talked about, Victor Wembanyama, but the rest of the league, they all think they're better, or the conference. And so I'm really just looking forward to getting this thing kicked off and seeing how all of it works, seeing how it matches together, what Anthony Edwards looks like in year 3, what D'Lo looks like in a big year for him. It's going to be fascinating, and get off to a good start because the schedule is very forgiving early, and it's going to get tougher late because the West is such a monster.
Anthony Edwards, again, looks very good, and I say that advisedly because we're talking about preseason basketball.
Yep.
But you look for his body, how that looks. You just look for explosiveness. You look for, even early, I think, some decision-making. And, we've all talked about, you mentioned the French kid that is the envy of every team now, the 7'4", 7'5" kid that's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft,
right.
The next big thing. I threw this out on the radio. Maybe we already have the next big thing. I think Edwards, that's certainly what was talked about on the broadcast last night.
Yep.
If he can emerge and take full advantage of the talent he has at the age of 20 or 21, there's no telling where this team can go. Because in all honesty, as much as the Gobert move is big,
yep.
This is really more about Anthony Edwards and where he can take this thing. Because we know what Cat is. We kind of know what Rudy is. Have to find out whether he fits in. Ant is the guy who can become the next big thing.
And I love what Finch said. Part of the reason why he changed his body, cut out the fried foods.
Yes.
Because he went away
we gotta move
at
on.
different times during the year. And I loved how Finch said, we can't have that happen. He can't ghost a game. He can't ghost a week. He's got to be on all the time. I love that Finch got that out there right now.
Okay, next up, we are getting closer to Election Day, just a month away. A new poll by KSTP Survey USA shows Governor Walz has a 10-point lead over Republican challenger Dr. Scott Jensen. That same poll had Walz leading Jensen by 18 points last month, but there's still a big gap. The headlines this week: hero pay bonuses for those on the front lines during COVID, and debunking claims about litter boxes in schools. Dan?
Well, the litter box thing, you almost can't make it up, but what's funny about it is, what's sad about it is that Scott Jensen was then asked about those comments, and then he's like, that's a distraction. Why are we even talking about this? And it reminded me of Denny Green, the late great Denny Green, when he was a Vikings coach. He came out during a season with his autobiography.
That's right.
And the appendix of that book was a lawsuit that he was thinking about filing against the owners of the Vikings. And we had the temerity to then ask him about, well, what does this mean? What are you alleging? And he didn't want to talk about it. He, too, thought, well, that's kind of a distraction. If you create the distraction, you cannot be surprised that then people are going to call you on it or ask you about it. So it's another example of how the Republicans here are absolutely squandering an opportunity, I think, to deal with what should be, I think, a very close governor's race that I'm still not convinced is going to be all that close.
And you're not allowing your A topic to be the A topic, which is, where is the governor? We'd like him to debate. He's only debated once. He might debate a couple of more times. He's apparently backed out of another one that was scheduled. Like that, if you want that to be the A topic, then let that breathe for itself. But you keep doing these. They are distractions. Dr. Jensen is correct. But they are self-inflicted distractions. We didn't bring up the litter box thing, right? Voters.
I don't think I would have had the creativity to do that.
No, well, I had heard about the story the last couple of weeks, and I shouldn't have been surprised that it did, in fact, make it to Minnesota. But because the fact that the debate thing that was called, by people that have worked in politics for a long time, something that the governor needs to account for, right? And that's an unforced error by him. But his argument could be, or is it? Because I just sit here on the sidelines, let them say what they're going to say, and my poll numbers still look pretty good.
By the way, hero pay, not enough money and too many people. Should have been, I think, more money and a little tighter on who fits the bill. That's my own view.
It's time for the Enough Said lightning round. Up first, the Wild are doing really well this preseason. They start their regular season on Thursday with a home opener against the New York Rangers. Stan.
Yeah, it starts, like you say, Thursday, and we're all trying to figure out, really, let's be honest, two things, and I think the team is too. Who do we want on the power play, right? And who do we want on the penalty kill? Basically, because those were two significant issues last year, and we see that's the question to me that we'll have to have answered here.
Next up,
if the team is going to go anyplace.
And how many games is Flower going to play?
Well, that's
and is
true
the backup
too.
Any good?
Yeah.
The goaltending, that was pretty good the last few years. Whatever you thought of Talbot, and they may have gotten worse there. We'll see.
The New York Post claims Tom Brady and his wife Giselle have hired divorce lawyers. It's also been reported they've been living separately in Florida since the summer. She hasn't been seen in any games or with her wedding ring, Justin.
This makes me sad.
Yes,
I know,
me
Dan,
too.
you're the cynic, and you don't believe any of the Hollywood romances.
No, they're all phony.
I probably shouldn't either, but in this case, there seems to be a clear line of demarcation, though. Why did you come back, Tom? You're 80 years old. Spend time with your wife and your family.
And you have so much money.
Well, but I get it. There's nothing like the rush of being part of the team.
Hammer Tom.
I'm not.
Half the time you're telling him, hey, you can play, you can still play. I love the story, and so you're talking both ways.
I am. This one just bums me out. Yeah.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet.
It's over,
it's just
Lori.
reports. The first
Lori,
lady.
it's over.
You know what? Brady's going to be fine. She's going to be fine.
I feel bad for the kids. The first lady in the country is gone. Loretta Lynn died at the age of 90 this week. Coal Miner's Daughter was her biggest hit. Her debut album was the first woman to go gold, and also the first female country star to become a millionaire, Dan.
Huge name. There's so much country. There's so much history associated with her name. The songs that she did, the legacy that she had. I'm not a big country guy, but you have to. It's not the same thing as saying I got no respect for an unbelievably distinguished career and a hell of a voice, I might add.
You
tip
your cowboy hat.
That's what I would do if I had one.
Yep.
Halloween candy is going to cost you 35% more this year. That's a lot of money. National Retail Federation says more than $3 billion. That's how much we spend in candy alone.
But look at those kids. Can you put a price on that?
Yeah, and that's kind of old file video.
Look at Mario and Luigi. Yeah. Don't they deserve a good Halloween?
I want to know, what kind of candy do you guys hand out?
We usually get the big variety packs from Target. I don't remember what's in it, to be honest with you, but you apparently want to shut down the entire holiday, Lori. I don't understand what's happened to you.
I bet you give out the expensive stuff, like the Snickers and the Three Musketeers, and
full
you probably have the neighborhood
too.
where you have the full candy bars.
Well, we want to give kids something.
Rolls and Dum Dums.
Well, it's a way to go, and some people, that's the way they got to go. But come on, Lori, you're not living check to check.
I don't know. I'm not sure if the lights are going to be on this year.
Oh, that's wrong. That's just wrong.
And finally, it's something we've talked about on the show before, and I'm sorry to say to you guys, but happy for myself that I'm finally verified on Twitter.
Oh my God.
And so my thought is that now that I'm verified, I was thinking we could try to get you guys verified.
Nope, we have no interest.
Get your verified ship to come in.
I won't speak for Dan. I have no interest in being verified. I don't need to be verified. I'm fine not being verified. I'm glad for you because this was a quest for you for like the last 5 years.
It was a journey.
A weekly journey of every time we'd come in and, let's see if I'm verified. Nope.
She was going to therapy because she wasn't verified.
Think about it.
You can't afford candy because you spent so much money on therapy because you weren't verified. Now Mario and Luigi can't have Halloween.
Okay, well, you guys are next.
If you can help me through the process. If you can get me verified, I'll be happy to be verified. I just don't want to have to do any of the work.
Okay, yeah, you do. You have to give out a lot of information. Okay, enough said. We'll come up.
Well, now I hope you sleep well this weekend.
Surprised we didn't start the show with this. Verified.
The actual.